Welcome to this episode of MoGuard TV. I'm Sergeant Clay Beiersdorfer with the 70th Mobile Public Affairs Detachment. In this episode, we'll feature the Missouri National Guard's Best Warrior competition and our support of the Leadership Missouri program. We also interview two of our recent retirees and share a story about the efforts to maintain a unit's military heritage. Our first package is about the Missouri National Guard's Best Warrior competition, a grueling tournament where the ultimate goal is to represent Missouri at the National Best Warrior competition.
The Missouri National Guard held the 2015 State Best Warrior competition at Camp Crowder in Neosho, Missouri. The annual competition brings together the best soldiers in the Missouri Army National Guard to compete on all facets of soldier skills, challenging their mental and physical abilities to the limit. Their ultimate goal is to represent Missouri at the regional and national Best Warrior competitions.
There's something about watching soldiers put everything they have into something. It's motivating, very inspiring.
The competition has two categories, one for junior enlisted and the other for non-commissioned officers. The events include a physical fitness test, weapon qualification, 12-mile ruck march, Army Warrior tasks, and combined land navigation course. One of the faster-paced events of the competition is the stress shoot, where soldiers have to perform various marksmanship skills, all the while being distracted by smoke bombs, fireworks, and verbal assaults from fellow guardsmen.
What are you shooting at?
I would say the most fun event was the stress shoot. I love that kind of stuff.
This incorporates some added stressors to it, some controlled chaos, if you will. The muzzle of your weapon is going to move around a little bit more. Your breathing is going to be a little bit off. Your heart rate's going to be elevated. It makes it more difficult to shoot.
Of course, you hear everybody in the background yelling different things. Oh, you can't shoot, or maybe aim a little lower next time. You can pretty well block all that out. You just think about, okay, breathe. Here's the task that I need to do. Squeeze the trigger.
I could have eaten an ice cream bar in this amount of time. Let's go, faster, faster!
I was like almost out of breath by the time I got to the entrance. Then I had to run some more to get to the first area to shoot some small targets with a pistol. I think it was my first sergeant. He said, slow down. Automatically, I just listened to what he said and I just stopped.
As the sun set on day one of the competition, the land navigation challenge began.
Land navigation is a very important skill for a soldier. If we find ourselves in the situations where we got to get from point A to point B and we don't have our technology we have these days, we've got to be able to navigate on the ground by hand using compasses and train association, things like that.
Well, land nav is always a bear. You go out there and you plot your points, and everything looks really pretty on a map, and you know in your mind where you're going, and you get out there and boy, it's briars up to your shoulders, and you're going through the thick woods, and you're looking for this tiny little point that, you know, on a map looks easy to find, but in reality you're out there digging around for a while.
Day two of the competition began with an early morning 12-mile ruck march.
I would say that the hardest event was probably the ruck march. Just, it's so long and you're going in the dark and you can't exactly see your progress. You're just like, oh, when am I going to be done?
You're deep in the woods, there's no moonlight, no type of light, so you're basically just trying to follow the path and not twist your ankles on a bunch of rocks.
For our 12-mile ruck march here on Camp Crowder, it's a varied terrain. It starts out fairly flat. Unfortunately for them, Camp Crowder is pretty deceiving. A lot of steep hills, a lot of low valley areas. Almost anybody can go out and walk 10, 12 miles. Throw 35 pounds on your back and it adds a whole new spectrum to getting out there and doing it.
I was pretty beat up by the end, pretty tired. As soon as I crossed the finish line, the people came right around me and took my ruck off and sat me down, and a medic came right over and looked at my feet, and it felt great to take my boots off.
There wasn't much time for rest as the competitors had to go from the 12-mile ruck march to the obstacle course, where 9 different obstacles each pose their own set of challenges.
My toughest obstacle was the confidence climb. I did it. It took me a little longer than I wanted it to. It goes pretty high, 30, 40 feet in the air. I got to the top and I looked down and I thought, wow, that's pretty high. And it goes back to that sort of mental agility thing where you can just focus on the task at hand and not worry about other stuff. And then when that's done, go to the next one.
The thing that really killed me the most, that Weaver.
Which is the one where you go over under the triangular shaped obstacle. That's probably one of the more difficult ones. It takes a lot of coordination and a lot of skill.
I can hear voices around me saying, don't fall, don't give up. You got it, go under. It's almost like I had tunnel vision. I was just focused on getting through this. I gotta do this.
Bring that leg under. There you go. Good. Good. Now you're cooking, baby.
You're testing your physical endurance, your mental toughness, but your personal courage as well, knowing that you can push yourself through those obstacles.
Come on. Hold. Got it, boy. Yeah, baby.
You put it all in this short 60-hour period with limited sleep and constantly changing what you're doing. It ramps up that intensity a lot.
After the competitors complete the physical portion, with limited sleep, we move them directly into the intellectual portion. At that point in time, they have to complete a 500-word essay, followed by an appearance board before 7 command sergeants major, who will test them on their basic knowledge of all Army doctrine.
As far as an overall ratio for mental to physical, we try to make it as close to 50-50 as possible.
This competition is an opportunity to excel. In order to excel, these citizen soldiers have to prepare on their own time, while maintaining their job and in some cases being full-time students.
Staff Sergeant David Wandel is a combat engineer with the Regional Training Institute at Fort Leonard Wood.
Most of the time when people ask what I do, I say, I teach people how to blow stuff up. That's the very basic description of what I do.
He is a full-time student and also works a part-time job for a logistics company. Specialist Larry Gary is an automated logistics specialist with a 35th Infantry Division in St. Joseph, Missouri.
I'm the guy who dispatches out vehicles, and I also create license for the other drivers as well.
He is also a full-time student and works a full-time job. The competitors aren't going at the Best Warrior competition alone. They have coaches or sponsors for mental and moral support. Sergeant Wandel had Staff Sergeant James Cockrell.
Energy, motivation. Oh yeah, that's what it needs. All right, that's what I want. That's what I want to hear. I want to feel. All right, I'm gonna be down here on the ground.
My coach, Jimmy Cockrell, he's an outstanding guy. Couldn't find a more likable guy. Couldn't find a better supporter. And every time you see him, he's got a smile on his face. He's got something humorous to say or something positive, always encouraging.
To me, that's just a challenge, but challenges are like, I don't know, it's like a morning breakfast. Like, you can't wait to eat a bowl of cereal, right? It's outstanding though, right, Sergeant?
Yeah.
It is, all right.
He knows his stuff. He's been here before, and beyond that, he's just gonna be there operating at 110%.
Specialist Gary had Staff Sergeant Anthony Blair as his coach.
He's always there to give me advice. Whenever I have a problem, he always instantly comes up with a solution for me. I would say probably if I didn't have my coach or like the people behind me cheering me on, mentally I would have probably gave up a long time ago.
Sergeant Wandel and Specialist Gary were proud to represent their units and plan on competing again next year.
So yeah, I absolutely plan on coming back, and hopefully next year I'll have a little bit more heads up on what I need to look for. And a worst case scenario, somebody beats me and then I'll come down here and sponsor them.
Every one of these competitors has competed at the company, the battalion, the brigade, and now the state level. So they're the best of the best that the Missouri National Guard has to offer. So first and foremost, just making it this far, they should hold their heads high no matter what place they finish.
In my battalion, I won the Best Soldier Award. So So just knowing that I have that is just enough for me.
Staff Sergeant James Chevalier of the 1128th Forward Support Company took first place in the Non-Commissioned Officer Division, and Specialist Christian Linhart of the 1135th Engineer Company took first place among enlisted soldiers. They both claimed the top spots at the regional 7-state competition and will represent Region 5 at the national competition in Utah. Coming up after the break, we'll learn how Missouri did at the National Best Warrior competition.
For over 375 years, our nation's citizen soldiers have sacrificed, struggled, and triumphed at home and abroad. Through resolve, resilience, and readiness, our Army National Guard continues its proud legacy.
As citizen soldiers,
we are your next door neighbors.
We're your colleagues in schools, offices,
in factories,
in every corner of America.
The Army National Guard is hereby.
We have a stake in the safety and security of our communities.
After all,
that is where we live.
We serve in Afghanistan,
Iraq, the Balkans,
Africa, the Sinai, and the United States southwest border.
We are citizens.
We are soldiers.
We are your neighbors.
We are always ready.
We are always there.
The Army National Guard. Over 375 years of value and vigilance.
The Missouri National Guard was represented by two of its best soldiers, Specialist Christian Linhart and Staff Sergeant James Chevalier, at the 2015 National Best Warrior competition held at Camp Williams, Utah. Only 14 soldiers from across the country qualified for the 3-day multi-event competition, which focused on warfighting skills and included night land navigation and calling in an airstrike from an Apache helicopter. Specialist Linhart took home the 3rd place award in the Soldiers category for the Missouri National Guard.
In our next story, we'll highlight the Missouri National Guard's support of the Leadership Missouri program, educating Missouri's current and emerging leaders about their National Guard.
The Missouri National Guard welcomed participants of the Leadership Missouri program to their headquarters at the Ike Skelton Training Site in Jefferson City as part of their community relations efforts to showcase the Guard's mission and capabilities. The Leadership Missouri program is run by the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Its goal is to identify current and emerging leaders throughout the state, enhance their leadership skills, and deepen their knowledge of the state's opportunities and challenges.
Well, as part of my job at RMI and being the Director of Finance Programs, I thought it was important for me to learn more about the state of Missouri, the state that we served. And so I decided that the best way to do that was through Leadership Missouri.
So I kind of kept an open mind. I wasn't exactly sure what we were going to see, but it definitely exceeded my expectations.
The day began with a tour of the Museum of Missouri Military History, followed by a briefing given by the Adjutant General, Major General Steve Danner.
I have a business background like many of you all, and I really think that the Guard is the perfect combination of the citizen soldier, where you can take your business skills and apply them to the military, and then vice versa. I applied what command and leadership skills I learned in the military to my businesses.
Sergeant Major Julie Irwin, a graduate of the Leadership Missouri program, planned the day's events.
I think it's extremely important for just the average day citizen to see what we really do day to day, and that we're here 365 days of the year. And we're not just a force that just goes to Afghanistan, but we are here for the citizens of Missouri.
Last night I was up about 2 a.m. watching the tornado piece. As you all know, we had that hit in Potosi. We have a 24-hour joint operations center that watches storms and everything 24/7. So our eyes and ears are always out there watching to make sure that we are ready to go if something happens in one of our communities.
When the general talked to them about, hey, there were people in the Joint Operations Center last night watching what was going on with the weather across the state, that they felt at ease because they know somebody's always watching out for the Missourians.
It's very comforting to know that we have so many different individuals with different skills that can be called in to help us in situations either here or abroad.
Leadership Missouri participants were given briefings by leaders in the Missouri National Guard, toured the State Emergency Management Agency, received hands-on equipment familiarization, and learned of programs to help Guardsmen and veterans with employment.
Major Decker gave us some insights of how to handle difficult situations. There were a lot of tools that she had given me about leadership that I can take back and use in my everyday life.
There are a lot of similarities with business management in terms of managing people, managing budgets, managing assets. So they're very highly trained at leadership skills, and so there's a lot that we as everyday business managers can learn from those military leaders.
I really appreciated the leadership development and then learning a little bit how to support veterans coming back and getting them into the workforce.
I talk to a lot of civilians and they just don't realize what all we do or what we have to offer.
It's really allowing us to broaden our horizons to see leadership in different perspectives and how we can improve ourselves.
It has given me a true, insightful view of the National Guard, one that I have never really had before.
When MoGuard TV returns, we'll feature two recent Missouri National Guard retirees as they discuss their military careers and the Guard's transformation into an operational ready force.
For over 375 years, our nation's citizen soldiers have sacrificed, struggled, and triumphed at home and abroad. Through resolve, resilience, and readiness, our Army National Guard continues its proud legacy.
As citizen soldiers,
we are your next door neighbors.
We're your colleagues in schools, offices,
in factories,
in every corner of America.
The Army National Guard is hereby. We have a stake in the safety and security of our communities.
After all,
that is where we live.
We serve in Afghanistan,
Iraq, the Balkans,
Africa, the Sinai, and the United States Southwest border.
We are citizens.
We are soldiers.
We are your neighbors.
We are always ready.
We are always there.
The Army National Guard. Over 375 years of value and vigilance.
MoGuard TV sat down with two recent Missouri National Guard retirees, Colonel Timothy Bach and Sergeant William Hancock. They shared some parting thoughts looking back on their military careers. Colonel Bach has seen the Missouri National Guard decrease its time at Mobility Station, or MOB Station, where a unit is mustered to train before deployment. During the first Iraq War mobilization, Guardsmen required Army Warrior Task training, which was conducted by regular Army cadre. Since then, the Missouri National Guard has taken a proactive approach to Army Warrior Task training.
The National Guard took those Army Warrior tasks and did that at our training sites with our cadre. Those tasks were validated. Then we went to MOB Station and strictly focused on what our unit mission was. We were at MOB Station a much shorter amount of time.
During Sergeant Hancock's tour of duty in Iraq, he witnessed Missouri National Guardsmen gain as much combat experience as their regular Army counterparts.
You always train with the scenarios. You try to train as realistically as you can. No matter how much I trained, I knew what I was doing up to a point until you actually come under fire and you've done it once or twice, you've done a couple medevacs or something. You really do question yourself. Even at E7, I was over there and I was like, wow, am I ready for this? After all the training I've done all those years, combat patches were far and few between, and you usually very seldom saw them on any PFCs. Now you can walk out here and there's E2s and E3s out here with combat patches. That means they deployed to a combat zone and they've been on the ground for at least 30 days. That tells you a level of experience that you have now that you didn't have before. I was kind of lucky. I was 50 years old in Iraq. I had a maturity level that most of the guys didn't have.
Sergeant Hancock shared a story that highlighted the challenges that many combat veterans face when they return home from a deployment and transition back to their civilian lives.
I used to work in the back room unloading trucks. One day they had me out on the sales floor, so I was around customers. And I'll never forget this, I had dropped something and it rolled on the shelf, so I was on my knees. Now think about this, just a couple months earlier I was in Iraq, surviving, getting blown up, calling medevacs on guys that I just put a tourniquet on their leg, which was missing. And now I'm on my knees on the floor in a store listening to a customer complain about the price of tuna went up 5 cents. It's really hard to focus on that civilian side when you're thinking, really, lady? And I get it with some of these vets when they come back.
When Colonel Bach returned home from serving in the First Iraq War, there were no programs available to assist military personnel with transition from a combat zone. The Missouri National Guard has since implemented the Yellow Ribbon Program,
a process for the soldier and their families to reintegrate into their communities, back into their family again. I never had that. And I think that is one of the biggest things that I've seen that's absolutely positive. Give them that time to decompress and resources to reach out to and use so they can become part of their family again, a part of their community again, and give them that time to make that transition.
Our next package features the relocation of static display fighter jets to their unit's new home at Whiteman Air Force Base.
The F-4 Phantom II, the F-15A model, and the F-100 are on their way to their new home at Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri. These 3 fighter jets serve as legacy aircraft to the 131st Bomb Wing, yet for the past 7 years, they have been separated from their Missouri Air National Guard. In 2008, the 131st Fighter Wing, based at Lambert International Airport in St. Louis, Missouri, moved across the state to Whiteman and became the 131st Bomb Wing. As the 180-ton crane moved the F-4 Phantom from its pedestal, retirees looked on, remembering their experiences with these great planes.
I got sworn in underneath this airplane by Colonel Boatwright at the time, and aircraft 680338 is probably my most favorite aircraft.
Civilian contractors prepared the fighter jets for the 200-mile journey to Whiteman Air Force Base. Once at Whiteman, the aircraft were renovated for the June 12th dedication of the 131st Bomb Wing's Heritage Park.
All right, and for the action shot. Watch your fingers. All right, ready? Yep. 1, 2, 3.
From Jennies to stealth bombers, the 131st Bomb Wing has had a long and memorable record of service to the state of Missouri and the United States of America. And like all components of the United States military, the need to change and grow are imperative to completing the mission.
The latest of our legacy. In the spirit of Missouri, our own OG, Colonel Mike Piber, and our DO,
Staff Sergeant Elise Rich, Missouri Air National Guard, Jefferson Barracks, Missouri.
It is now my honor to introduce the commander of the Missouri National Guard, the Adjutant General, Major General Steve Danner.
Thank you, Sergeant Beiersdorfer, and thank you, viewers, for watching this episode of MoGuard TV. The mission of the Missouri National Guard is to organize, train, and prepare a family and community-based force of ready citizen soldiers and airmen to defend and serve the people of Missouri and the United States of America. In this episode, we have highlighted how we empower our soldiers to be their best through the Best Warrior competition. Through their dedication and tenacity, the Missouri National Guard has since excelled at the Best Warrior regional and national competitions. We've also profiled Leadership Missouri and the Guard's role in informing civilian leaders of our state by sharing our organization's challenges and capabilities. We also provided coverage of the relocation of our static display fighter jets from the Lambert Air National Guard Base in St. Louis to their new home at Whiteman Air Force Base near Knob Noster, Missouri. Through profiling our retirees, maintaining and caring for our military heritage, we remember those who have made the Missouri National Guard the recognized community and national leader that it is today. The future of the Missouri National Guard has never been brighter thanks to the service and sacrifices of our soldiers, airmen, and their families. On behalf of Governor Jay Nixon and our nearly 12,000 soldiers and airmen, thank you for your support.